and steams for sanctuary in Nazi-occupied France.
Bismarck vanished in the direction of west, and that was the last time we saw the Bismarck.
For the Royal Navy, the loss of Hood is devastating, but the tragedy only strengthens their resolve. With unrelenting determination, they deploy every weapon in their arsenal, including a fleet of antiquated torpedo bombers, to avenge the loss of Hood and sink the Bismarck. May 24, 1941. Hitler's newest superweapon, battleship Bismarck, has obliterated the symbol of British sea power, HMS Hood, and crippled the battleship Prince of Wales. The tragic news spreads rapidly.
The reaction in Britain to the loss of the Hood was a mixture of fury and a desire for revenge, and absolute shock. This was the pride of the Royal Navy. This was the unsinkable ship. This was the mighty Hood. The effect on the morale in Great Britain was absolutely catastrophic.
The British respond quickly and decisively. Prime Minister Winston Churchill vows Bismarck must be sunk at all costs.
We all wanted to revenge the Hood, there's no doubt about it. Every ship in the Navy, the smallest ship, the biggest ship in the Navy, wanted to revenge the Hood. And that's what we sent out to do.
Within hours after Hood's sinking, nearly every warship in the North Atlantic is sent to reinforce Fleet Admiral John Tovey's command. Bismarck is now 2,000 miles from France. The wounded Prince of Wales shadows Bismarck with the cruisers Norfolk and Suffolk. Tovey himself commands the operation from the battleship King George V. His battle group is 300 miles east of Bismarck. A detachment known as Force H steams in from the south. Tovey, hours behind Bismarck, determines his best weapon for a quick counterattack is an airstrike. May 26th, 11:30 p.m. This far north, it's still light as the Fleet Air Arm launches a flight of Swordfish torpedo bombers from the aircraft carrier Victorious. Cruising at 85 miles per hour, the Swordfish use a primitive onboard radar system to navigate toward Bismarck. Built by the Ferry Aviation Company in 1934, the Swordfish, affectionately known as the String Bag, is a lightweight biplane with a metal frame covered in fabric. The aircraft carries a crew of 3, a pilot, observer, and rear gunner. The dual-wing design gives it incredible lift, allowing for very short takeoffs from the decks of small carriers.
People viewed the Swordfish as being outdated or even obsolete at the start of the Second World War. Outdated perhaps, yes. Outclassed, no.
It was the most maneuverable even down to very slow speeds of about 60 knots. You were still in control.
The plane's primary armament is one Mark 12 18-inch torpedo, packing a powerful 388-pound charge of TNT. A year earlier, Swordfish sank 5 battleships during the attack on Taranto in Italy, helping to demonstrate the new thinking in naval warfare. Airplanes can dominate battleships. Now, a flight of 8 Swordfish speed toward Bismarck. They break into 3 attack groups. Flying in single file, they dive steeply down to 200 feet, banking into the target and fanning out parallel to one another to split anti-aircraft fire. As the planes approach, the steel fortress erupts, opening up with her 52 anti-aircraft guns.
An entire ship's worth of armament barrage was being focused on just this poor selection of very antiquated biplanes scurrying in towards the ship in the hope that they could get their one torpedo launched and score some kind of effective blow.
The German gunners use a clever tactic. They fire Bismarck's main armament into the sea, creating massive walls of water in front of the tiny biplanes. The courageous swordfish pilots press their attack, dropping to just 60 feet above the waves. They're flying so low and slow, Bismarck is unable to train her guns. The swordfish pilots punch the torpedo.
Dass uns britische Torpedoflugzeuge angreifen.
British torpedo planes started to attack us. Our captain ordered many quick, violent turns to dodge the torpedoes.
Bismarck evades the first wave. Then a swordfish piloted by Lieutenant Percy Jick with air gunner Les Sayer and navigator V.K. Norfolk sweeps in and fires. A massive column of water soars 150 feet in the air amidships on Bismarck.
Wurden die Schnellschlussanlagen von den Turbinen auf
One torpedo exploded against the armor belt. The massive concussion threw us off our feet. The jolt triggered the shutoff valves in the turbines. We had to quickly restart the engines. During the attack, the bosun's mate, Chief Petty Officer Kurt Kirkberg, was thrown into the airplane catapult and died.
geworfen.
Bismarck has suffered its first fatality. But the torpedo has struck the thick armor belt and done little structural damage. Having dropped their single torpedoes, the swordfish pull into cloud cover and return to their carrier. The aviators have sent a message. As long as Bismarck is shadowed, Tovey will keep sending waves of aerial assaults. For Admiral Lutyens aboard Bismarck, his next move is clear. He must shake the British ships from his tail. Lutyens knows the British are steering in a zigzag pattern to avoid possible U-boat attack. When they're at their furthest point, Bismarck turns hard to starboard, looping back over her own wake. The British lose radar contact and steam right past the German ship. For the next few hours, British radar operators work frantically to re-establish contact, but to no avail. At 5 a.m., 24 hours after the sinking of Hood, the cruisers send an ominous message to Tovey: have lost contact with enemy.
And so, Lutyens and Bismarck slip away, Tovey moves in the opposite direction, and it seems that in this game of chess that these two admirals are playing in the high seas, Lutyens is now winning.
The biggest battleship on Earth is now steaming for the safety of Nazi-occupied France undetected, hiding somewhere in the vast storm-tossed seas of the North Atlantic. May 26, 1941. For 30 hours, ships and planes of the British home fleet have scoured the North Atlantic for some sign of battleship Bismarck. But Bismarck has simply disappeared.
We're very despondent. Everybody, and I mean everybody, from the lowest boy to the highest officer on board was in a terrible state because we had lost the Bismarck.
Aboard Bismarck, the crew hopes by morning to be within 200 miles of France, waters controlled by the German Luftwaffe. Desperate to re-establish contact, Fleet Admiral Tovey dispatches Catalina flying boats, or PBYs,